afternoon, or evening if you're watching from somewhere else. Welcome to the Mrs. Best Reviews channel. We are here to go over the latest episode of Love During Lockup. The title of this episode was Bonded for Life. So the way we do the format here for going over Love During Lockup is we're going to go in the order of the couples that were shown to us on the show, and then we're going to go over what happened for each couple throughout the show. So the first couple we see is Miss Renika and Asante. As you see, Renika was on the cover of this live for the flyer, and that's because she still has this hair. And I can't understand why she insists on having her hair in this manner. And honestly, no shade. My husband said it last night. Chicks that walk around with that type of crap on their head, they really don't have a clue when it comes to dating, because I would not dare put on a wig with sideburns to catch a man. I just wouldn't do it. Hey, I may not be the finest Beyonce out there, but I don't have sideburns and my edges are real. So that's all I'm going to say. So we see Renika. She's waiting on Asante. She acts like he's ditched her. They allude to him like leaving her ghost and having her pick him up and all of this. But I had a feeling that wasn't true, because we did find out that Renika and Asante are going to be on Love After Lockup, which airs September 15th. So September 16th, I will be doing a recap of Love After Lockup and Life After Lockup. But yeah, Renika is waiting for him at, looks like a truck stop of some sort. And she has not heard from him. Now, Asante has an illegal phone that he's been keeping with him in jail, which counts as contraband. And a lot of people don't understand that inmates are not supposed to have that. Yes, some facilities will give them tablets and whatnot that they can use, but overall, you're not supposed to have a cell phone in prison, especially one that's working. So she's waiting on him, and we see her hop in the car. And I noticed her car is broken. Like, it looks like she got smushed between two fucking semi trucks or something. There's dents in the front and the side. She's missing a window. Looked like homegirl got bipped. In the Bay, being bipped, that basically means somebody breaking into your car. Apologies for those terms. I have to remember I'm from the Bay Area, but the rest of the world is not. Sometimes y'all don't know what the hell I'm saying. But her car is a hot mess. Her car is a hot mess, just like the thing on her head. So we see Renika, and we see that the car is falling apart, just like the wig. And Renika finds out later in the episode that she's going to be able to see about Asante. So she goes to the facility, because we know that Asante was supposed to be released from the jail that he was in, but he is going to be held at a different facility because he had other charges. The charges stemmed, which we went over in a previous recap, from him using that phone that he wasn't supposed to have. And that's how you know they don't have real love, Renika and Asante. You've only known them a year. You've never met him in person. Okay? And if I love my dude, like if I love my nigga, I'm not about to be okay with him calling me from his burner phone that he's not supposed to have in jail. Like, I want you to do the right thing and stay on the right path so you can get out. Renika, honey, you have to understand that if you really love someone, sometimes you got to love them when it's tough, and you got to push them to do the things that they don't want to do, or push them to do the things that they may feel like you're bitching or nagging them about. Such as, you shouldn't be calling me from this phone, Asante. You shouldn't. And look what happened. She relied on a phone from a prisoner so much that she was concerned when he didn't answer. But I felt like the scene might have been faked. That's just a personal opinion from Mrs. Best Reviews. And the reason I don't think that's on this particular episode of Renika and Asante was real is because in the prior episode, he explained, as she spoke to the judge, that he would be transferred to a different facility. He would be held, and that's just what it is. And it seems like she tried to act like she didn't know, or act like she was being ditched or ghosted by him. And I'm like, come on, WeTV editors, y'all could do better than that. Y'all could do better than that, because it's obvious that it was a bullshit storyline. So that's why we're going over them first. She gets there. Renika puts on her push-up bra. She puts on a push-up bra, y'all, because you know the girl skin and bones. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But she puts on a push-up bra to go and see him. She goes and she talks to an officer who's working there. And listen, I'm from the hood too, but there's no reason just because you're from the hood don't mean you got to be fucking rude. And you can also try to better yourself to speak a little better. Because Renika was acting like them girls in DP Stokeland who be trying to get help from someone who's professional in customer service. Yeah, I'm calling to check on my fiance. Like, girl. And then she gets an attitude with the lady or officer, whatever she was behind the glass, because the woman tells her, I don't have anybody here by that name, but if Asante is supposed to be released, the releases are coming here in an hour. And Renika's like, so wow, I'm supposed to wait an hour? Yeah, dumb bitch. You're supposed to wait an hour. Like, why are you snapping at this woman when you should be snapping at your man for being locked up? And if he wasn't locked up, then you wouldn't be in the situation. And I don't like police, not even just a little bit. I don't trust them. I think they all have a shady ulterior motive, whether it be money or control or whatever the hell. But I'm also a firm believer in treating others the way that they treat me. And if I haven't interacted with them yet and don't know how they're going to treat me, then, treat them with respect. At least try to be respectful. Dang, that's irritating. And like, girl, like, can you act like you have some sense? Like, just don't like that. So the reason I bring that up is not to really roast Renika, but just to be like, women who act like that by themselves, how are you going to act and interact with him when y'all are having like a disagreement, which happens if you're in a relationship? Like, how y'all gonna act? So very strange. So basically, Renika finally talks to Asante. We do finally see him on camera outside of the jail. He was transferred to that location, and she's screaming and doing all this stuff. And he didn't even look back when she was excited that he was there. He just kept walking. So I don't know if the officer would have been like, don't speak to her or what, but he did not seem to give a flying fuck to see her. So he calls her from inside and basically lets her know that something happened with the family member who y'all know from my last review. That wasn't no fucking family member. That was not a family member. It just was not a family member. That sound like something a cheating ass dude would say, oh, this is a family friend, a family member. Like, no, I don't buy that shit. So that's who was supposed to bail Asante out. They didn't end up bailing him out. So Asante talks to Renika on the phone and he's like, look, just stay on standby. I'm going to see what I can do and have the money sent to you since you're here and I can get bailed out. So we see Asante calling what looks to be a female from inside the jail, and the producers of Love After Lockup is like, hey, dude, what's good? They're like, who did you just call? As you know, the producers are going to ask. And I'm just like flabbergasted. I apologize too for the barking. My neighbors have dogs that they obviously could give a flying fuck about because they sit outside and bark every day, all fucking day. It drives me crazy. So if anybody hears the barking in this I do sincerely apologize. That is my neighbor. I don't know why they refuse to train their dogs or tell them to stop. I know that dogs bark, but it should not be all day. It drives me crazy. So y'all got a side note of that. Anywho, so basically Asante is trying to talk to another female to bail him out. We ain't stupid, Asante. Renika's stupid, obviously. Look at the wig, but we're not stupid. He looks like he wants to talk to another female, and he tells the producer, like, I'm concerned about the chick having to talk to Renika to get the bail thing going, because whoever he wants to bail him out is going to have to talk to Renika because she's the person who's going to do it. They're just sending the money. And Asante seemed real concerned, but I've said from the beginning, and Renika's like, who else will get him? Because it's been 13 months. He don't got nobody else but me. Renika is so dumb for that statement. He obviously has somebody else but you because he was able to get that phone. So unless you say you've only known him for 13 months, Renika, he been held down, been had the phone, been doing all this stuff. So obviously there's somebody else in his life and who's there for him. You just want it to only be you. And I don't know what's up with like some of us women, not me, I have sense, okay? But some of these women, like, it just seems like they'd be so desperate to have the idea that small piece of the American dream, that idea of being a wife, of being a mom, of, having a husband. But to be a wife, you got to act like a wife. Wives don't put on wigs that look like that. And if they do, their husbands are probably cheating on them with leprechauns. I stand by that. But like, Renika's doing the most for this man. And I'm just like, what about your kids? And that's the part that makes it hard for me. Like, I know it's a show and all of that, but I'm like, you have actual children who are impacted by your foolish choices. Now, I understand kids move. I moved a lot growing up, constantly moved. But my mama didn't. She moved us once for a man, just once, and she married that man. And she was married to that man for over 10 years. So that I understand. And then we moved like from one city to another. So it wasn't really too much of a change outside of the school. But she has uprooted her children's entire lives. I moved a lot as a kid, but I was still able to see my friends even after I moved because I just hop on a BART. That's our, I guess, subway train here in the Bay Area. For those who are wondering, hop on the BART, hop on good old ANSI AC Transit, the 57, the 1R. I think it's the 10 now. And I'd be right to my friends. Renika's kids have been moved multiple states. One of her daughters, she was selfish enough to move during her senior year. I think if your kid's a junior and up, just let them stay at their school if possible, especially if you have family members who are willing to keep your children while you ran after this man like a fool in your green wig. Like, I just can't. So, it looks like we're going to find out in the next episode what happens with Asante and the bail. We do know that Renika's not with Asante because she was foolish enough to do an interview literally before this season started where she tells us she's single. And she knows like that her wig looks bad. And she was like, oh, it was just this and that. But she wore that wig the whole season. Like, I'm not against wigs or anything. It's just the sideburns and the overall color was ghetto. Like, I get it. If you don't want to do your hair, have your little like everyday wig. Like my Nana used to have little ponytails and wigs in the bathroom that she would wear when she couldn't do her hair. But it shouldn't be fucking green and blonde. Who the fuck colored that thing? Like, we getting at Renika for the wig, but we really need to be mad at whomever made that fucking catastrophe of a thing. I don't know what the fuck went on. In the words of my husband, hair hat 2.0. That's what that was. So I can't understand it. So I'm going to move on to the next couple. It's not a lot happened with Renika and Asante, and I'm kind of annoyed that they're even editing so many scenes with them because the girl already told us they're not together. So like, why are they in love after lockup? Why do we need to see who we know is not going to last? That's my thing. Like, productions and editors, I think of all networks been on one, but we will get to that. So Jade and Chris have been married for 5 years. They've been together for 6 years. The entire length of that, he has been locked up. He's Native American and has been able to stack money from his royalties from the casino that his family owns. So we know that the family had some issues with Jade and they questioned her, which I don't think social media influencers, which I'm trying to be one myself, but I don't think they all realize what type of a look that gives off, especially to them baby boomers and, generations before that. Or to loved ones who are like, why is a girl who's got 400,000 followers on TikTok, why is she wanting to date this man, our family member who's locked up? So Chris's family had concerns for Jade, which I think were valid. And I was also happy to see, like, and this is rare on this show, that they like respectfully discussed and talked of the issues. So Jade's with her sister, her ride or die, and they make it to South Dakota. That's where Chris is in jail. And Jade talks with her sister about her behavior around Chris because her sister is like, I'm the chihuahua of the family. I will come after somebody. I will protect my sister. I'm going to be a part of every piece of this process. Because we do know there's another sister. They have a family and they're very close. So I kind of like that about Jade. And I'm like, why are you so hell-bent on this man? Anywho, they go in to visit Chris and they come out and her sister has really good opinions. She's like, he's nice. It's so much better in person. So they were able to see and deal with him because they have what's called, and if I say this incorrectly, I apologize. I believe it's called a powwow at the prison, and it's supposed to be a Native American tradition where they worship and praise their elders, which is important in their culture. I encourage everyone to look it up, or if you know anyone who is of Native American descent, ask them. I don't want to incorrectly explain their rituals and beliefs and all of that just because I don't know them, so I shouldn't speak on them. But basically, they let the people in the prison do this in South Dakota. And the reason why is because they have a larger population within the prison that is Native American, which makes sense if you know your American history. If y'all paid attention in the 4th grade, and if you fast forward again to the 6th or 7th, and then the high school of American history and government, you should know the history of the Native Americans. And you should know that Thanksgiving isn't so thankful or giving if you know the true history, but that's just the thing. That's why I travel during Thanksgiving. I don't celebrate that shit. Anywho, so the visit goes well. They end up talking to Chris from a window, which I'm pretty sure the jail is going to fix after this aired. He's hanging out the window. They're talking, and the sister makes a good point. Not much happened with these two either in the episode at all. The sister made a good point, though, that I thought was important to say. She says, Jade and Chris already have problems. They've been have problems with each other that they struggle to work out because you only get so long on the phone. You can only do so much. Can you imagine having to write a letter and wait days or weeks just to fucking, make your point to your spouse about an argument? It's like, I'm not doing that. So the sister's like, they still have a lot to work on. They argue. They go time without seeing each other, talking to each other. She shows up to the visit, and then she just be so excited to see Chris because she hasn't seen him in so long that she forgets about their problems. But her sister was like, he's nice. I'll give him a chance, but they have a lot to work out, which they do. If you're having this many problems while someone's locked up, personally, I feel like you're going to have just as many problems when they break free, because then you're going to have more time to bitch and argue and moan. So there's that. Nothing else happened with them, so we're going to move on to the next characters. I call them characters because some of this shit seems scripted, but next couple, Andy and Brittany. Andy is our handy dandy former cop. This is a situation where, because he's a cop in Georgia, I'm sorry, if the greater of police are fucking up and fucking people over, and this is not just Black people, just in general, swinging their dicks of power around that come from our tax dollars, I don't trust Andy, especially in Georgia, which has one of the highest recidivism rates in the country. For those who are unsure, recidivism rate basically has to do with how many times someone goes to jail, gets out, comes back to jail, goes out, gets back to jail, basically, for lack of better words. Georgia has one of the highest, which makes sense. It's the South, and they're still stuck in that Confederate bullshit. It's obviously not working if people keep coming back. But Brittany is who Andy is with. I really don't trust either party in this, but Brittany is actually the inmate, and I actually kind of side with her more. Something about Andy, like, he seems nice, but it seems like he never healed from his divorce, and he's just trying to get another chick in there. So he's prepping because we find out that Brittany's getting out in a few days because we have the finale next week. So we didn't get too many episodes, but Brittany is getting out. And when on the phone, when going to go pick up some clothes for her, which we always see on Love After Lockup, which I actually think is really nice to get them new clothes and have them, up to par. That's really kind of the people dating these inmates. And I think that was nice of Andy. But he mentions lingerie. He's like, anything else you want? And Brittany's just like not here for it. She's like, what? He's like, there's some lingerie. He looks so nervous to have to say that. I think that's a big red flag. If someone will allow you to spend hundreds of dollars on clothes for them and you're supposed to be in a relationship, I'm just kind of like, you don't have to be overly sexual or talk about that, but it could have been of course we'll get there. But men be cracking me up with that lingerie stuff. Like, if you took her while she was in jail, give her time to get free. Maybe fuck her naked or in your t-shirt a few times and then get some lingerie. But, Brittany, every time we see her, she kind of discuss more so her kids and that. So she seems to really want to prove something to her kids. But you just never know with inmates. They got to show you before we can believe them. It's a fact. And people in jail or who've been to jail, hell, I've been, not as an adult though, thank you God. But you have to accept that when you do wrong, it's going to take people some time to trust you. And it's not always you as a person. They just have to trust that you're going to be able to get a job, work a job, keep a job, all of that type of stuff. So I totally understand where Brittany is coming from. So Andy goes to meet with his friend who we saw in the first episode when they had them eating donuts because they're police officers. Well, Andy's former one. And Andy gets a call from Brittany while shopping for her with his friend. And his friend talks to her and he grills her. He's like, yeah, I did the background check on you. Why do you got so many addresses? What's happening with this? What's going on? And I kind of like that because he did it respectfully, but it was a reminder like, bitch, you acted this way towards him, mad at him about stuff. And you're the one that people technically should not and cannot trust. So she has to remember that. So I appreciated the friend. I think that's a good friend. Like I had a friend with somebody who was in jail and I will always tell her, think of yourself first because you were smart enough to keep yourself out of jail. People who go to jail usually are not good at crimes because they got caught. Yoo-hoo, just a thing to think about. Anywho, so we find out, apologies because I am looking at my notes. We do find out that Andy put aside money for Brittany. So when he gets his direct deposit, he takes a couple $100 out from each check and just puts it to the side so that when she's out, she can be prepared, has the things that she needs. It's a really sweet gesture. Like if I were to go to jail for a couple years, that's something I would expect my husband to do. We've been together for a very long time, 14 years. So I would expect that. Hell, if you went to jail and you'd only been with your spouse for a year, I would expect them to do something like that. But if you've never met this person outside of jail, I think that that's a bit much. So Andy mentioned that he believes 1,200 is a good number for, money for Brittany to have. I'm praying he did not mean that monthly. Love has nothing to do with the dollar. And if you think that it does, you're not in love and have not found love. Because when you really love someone, you'll know because they'll be broke and you won't have that dollar. And you could be that person who's always dated somebody rich and always has dollars, but you're going to be dating that broke bum. Why? Because you probably love them more than you did the people who have money. Materialism will never win you anyone's heart. It just won't. I believe that. I know everyone has differences of opinion. I respect that and hope you guys share your opinions in the comments, but I definitely just don't like when they bring up money. And Andy's friend, police officer or not, he's a good friend to him. He said just what we were all thinking. Andy's thinking with his penis. It's clear. His penis is so determined to get to her coochie coo that he's not even thinking like this chick don't even want to talk about lingerie or like wearing something cute. Like I don't think Brittany's that interested in him, but I think she does want to be better. But I don't think she wants to be better with Andy. So we'll see what happens with them on the finale. I'm not sure if they'll be on Love After Lockup, but if they will, I will be covering Love After Lockup as well. We will continue to cover it on Saturdays, anytime between 10 and 2. I always set up a flyer and schedule it so you guys can see and get notified of when I go live, because I do go live quite a bit. So I encourage everyone to subscribe and all of those things. You can also follow me on Instagram, where you can find all of the communication to know when we're going live, give your opinions, see stuff with Just My Life as well. So other things, you can also go and subscribe to YouTube, like the video, all of those things. Much appreciations. So we're going to move on to the next couple, which is Letitia and Keith. I watched this episode with my husband and he was so irritated with her. He was like, I hate women like this. I hate it. And I'm like, y'all gonna see why. So Letitia in the last episode bought a ring. Her husband said, this is the amount of money I'm going to give you to purchase the ring. And she goes into the jewelry shop and looks at something she cannot afford. She knows it's outside of the budget, so she should have never been looking at that shit, which makes me think that Letitia either did that bullshit for producers to create a fake storyline or some other stuff. But we find out it's real because she's excited about this ring and we see her go out with her friends. She's like, I'm a wife. I want to listen. If you look at the marriages that last, not talking about mine, but if you look at marriages that have lasted centuries and decades in your personal life or in your fucking Well, obviously not centuries, but y'all know what I mean. Or in celebrity time, what wife do you know who walked out the house looking the way that she looked with her husband locked up? Why do your titties and all of that need to be out if you're not trying to catch the attention of another nigga? Like, what are you doing, Letitia? So she went out in the strange outfit with her friends to a bar. And I'm like, y'all can't be having that much fun in fucking Iowa. Ain't no way in hell. Ain't shit to do. Ain't shit to do in none of the middle states. Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, what is it, Idaho. There's nothing to do. I couldn't, but I'm a city girl, born and raised in the Bay Area, so I don't know, but there's nothing to do out there. So they go to a bar, and my husband actually pointed out, shout out to Oh So Best. Big shout out to Oh So Best. Here goes his YouTube. He does lives with me sometimes. We'll also be recapping 60 Days In together, and I suggest you subscribe because you can also find lots of music. Anywho, my husband pointed out, seemed like Letitia was flexing on her friends. Beji, is she flexing? Is that normal? I'm like, this is not normal. Like, you'll have a ring. Like, I remember when I got my wedding ring, I only wear the actual wedding band because the ring part, I'm just scared I'm gonna get robbed or something. So it sits in the closet. But when I got my wedding ring, I was like, yay, I'm a ring and this and that. My friends knew. And when I met up with them, we just did what we did. And they spoke on it when they noticed the ring. My husband was like, it seems she flexing on her friend. She's like, yes, look. And I'm like, why are you doing that to your friends? Like, if they're really your friends, you shouldn't have to flex. Give them a chance to celebrate you, Letitia. But Letitia, as we now know, she's on the internet trying to prove herself as not being financially irresponsible because you know she is an accountant and she works in taxes. And nobody's going to trust an accountant who, one, thinks that an inmate can run their business. I see that shit went out the door real fast after she met with the lawyer. And then two, she's also a former inmate. That makes it harder for people to trust you with their money and socials. And then three, why the fuck would I want to go to an accountant to have them help me with my finances when she's getting evicted left and right? Now, I don't think we should beat someone up for being evicted. I've been evicted before from an apartment. And in California, there's actually a law where after you're evicted, you cannot get an apartment for 10 years. Nobody will rent to you. So, you know, it's very difficult. Obviously, it's not that way in the state that she's in because she has gotten evicted. Shout out to the According to Amber channel. She has gotten evicted multiple times. And it sounds like her house, though, she did clarify the situation with the eviction of her house where she did a rent to own home. And it looks like she got caught up in a scam. So she was able to get out of that. But separate from that, she looks extremely irresponsible financially. How the fuck you gonna counsel us when you're spending $15,000 on a ring at that time, knowing you could have used that money to pay the rent for your business? If I'm going to risk it to piss my husband off, swiping his card without his knowledge, I'm going to do it for something that's smart, not a fucking ring that I'm just going to have to pawn when I have nowhere to sleep. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I always say the more materialistic you are, the less likely you will find love or an everlasting love. Because if y'all notice, this is not a fact, but just pay attention. Everybody you probably know who's had a wedding that was like over the top, or everybody you know who found a man who's like extra hair did, nails did, makeup, half day, they never last in marriages or relationships. Everybody I know who's like that. I barely wear makeup every day and have no concerns for being overly rich and all of that type of shit. Now I'm able to make it work with someone. I have a friend who's like that too. Like, it be the materialistic chicks and dudes that can't seem to figure it out. They need to just date each other, but they're too fucking shallow to do that. Letitia gives me shallow. I do think she's a good mom from what it seems like with her kids, but I don't even know. So basically when she talks to Keith, she steps outside because he calls her while she's kicking it. And Keith is like, I'm missing 15 G's from the account. $15,000. Of course he's going to fucking notice. And I'm like, why would you not say to him, I got the ring I wanted, you didn't call, I waited in the store? Like, she didn't even try to make it seem like she thought twice about doing what she should not have done. Married or not, What's yours is yours and what's theirs is theirs. I'm not just going to take my husband's card and be swiping it while he's asleep. And there's been opportunities where we could bring his ass out right now. And Mr. Best would tell you, no, I don't wake up to shit charged. Why? That's like such a violation of trust, in my opinion, because it's like, if you'll swipe my card without looking, you'll go through my phone. If you do this, you'll do that. And it's not always about, oh, you're going to find something. No, it's just, there has to be a mutual respect between people. It just does, which Letitia broke. And Keith was rightfully upset. So she says to him, it looks pretty on me, though, and I can't take it back. And even Letitia's friend said to her, you can take that fucking ring back. Stop playing. Like, don't even try to act like you can't. They always let you bring jewelry back. Like, stop. This is not shoes that you're trying to return to Target or fucking Foot Locker. Like, oh, there's a slight dust there. That means you wore it. You can't return it. No, you can return your jewelry. So she tells Keith she can't take the ring back, and her saying it looked pretty, that's how you know she's stupid. Please don't go to Letitia if you're trying to get your taxes done. I'm sure there's other African-American women with sense in the community that y'all can support, because the way that she behaves, the way she's handling the press, even like, you're on TV, you signed up for a reality show. You signed up for a reality show knowing you were going through an eviction and knowing you had a criminal background, you're dating an inmate, and you have all this other stuff. She should have signed up for something different, maybe Love and Hip Hop. I heard they have a new vacancy. But she definitely should not have done this show if she's going to be upset and feel the need to defend everything that comes out. Overall, Keith is mad as hell about it, and Letitia looks stupid. Letitia was wrong. I don't think Keith even loves her. I think he's just, there because she's convenient, and he probably thought she was a boss who had her shit together. But I have a feeling when he finds out her true financial situation and circumstances, that he gonna go running faster. Because no man says to their wife, no, what you gonna do is give me my money back. I understand being mad, but I'm like, whoa. You only say that to somebody you don't view as your wife. I don't care about paperwork. So Keith is mad. They basically, the last thing we see of them is she's like, I love you, trying to get off the phone. And he was like quiet for hella long. He did not want to say, I love you back. And I honestly don't blame him. That's an extreme. You didn't just spend $400 or $500. You spent $15,000, you wench. Like, you should really know better than to do that. But don't go bullying her on the internet, y'all, because I seen a lot of net bangers that have come across my page. They got read for filth. I see the people, I call them net bangers. They think they gang bangers, but they on the internet. I don't encourage anybody who watches my channel to go and bully people in the comments that we don't know. But you could look at her with the side eye, like the classy women, like, wonder if she paid her rent, walking around with a $15,000 ring. Interesting. Holding a nigga down does not make you worthy of that ring. There's a lot of other stuff that comes. So I kind of feel like that's why a lot of the women specifically get with inmates, thinking like, oh, I'm going to get this, especially Renika and Letitia. Y'all doing Black women a disservice, the two of y'all. My God. Every time I see them, I'm like, can we get Monique and Derek back? Because at least Monique is like entertaining, like you just knew they wouldn't last, so you couldn't really fully take it seriously, but it is what it is. Next couple, Brittany and Karak, the two young idiots. So I know my mouth is filthy today. I don't care. I was watching this episode, like, struggling to get through it. Like, they should have just gave us the finale. They must have needed to throw stuff in. So Brittany and Karak are, I think, 24 and 25 or something like that. Karak has a friend named EB, who I just found out. I thought EB was a boy the whole time. EB is a female, born female. Like, y'all can get mad at that. I'm not homophobic. I have no problem with who dates who. I don't even have a problem with people transitioning or any of that. I really don't care. I think it's their choice. Be who you feel that you are. What I have a problem with is when members of the LGBTQ community start to say things like, there's an article my husband saw. Women think they own the right to periods. Yeah, motherfucker, you try bleeding every 28 days. We motherfucking do. But I did not know that EB was a part of that community. I suspected it, but him and his faux dreadlocks is now a man, so we're going to refer to you as man because we respect people on this channel. But listen, man or woman, EB looks a hot mess, looking like the crackhead that's running around to follow Brittany. Because how do you have so much time to follow this woman around? I would love to know it. EB is following her. That's actually a violation. And I don't think EB is smart enough to understand that if Brittany really wanted to, she could go to the police. You're stalking her. Why the fuck are you following her? Even if it was Karak following her like that, that's stalking. That's against the law. Why are y'all weirdos following this girl with the fucking 4 antenna of dreadlocks? Instead of following Brittany, go to her hair school, because y'all know you could get your hair done for the discount, and get your hair done, EB. There's no reason you should be so close to your friends that you're in their business like that. Like, that don't even make sense. I think Karak, I stand by it. I think Karak is abusive and negative. I don't think that anything good for Brittany will come from being with Karak. I just don't feel that way. So Brittany goes to meet with EB, and she talks with EB about Karak's fighting, because she's like, maybe EB will tell me something. And instead of telling the truth about his friend, EB decides to say, he don't trust her. Your friend is the one getting lied on. Ain't nobody calling your fucking phone about Brittany lying. So raise up off her antennas, please. Makes no sense. So EB claimed he don't trust her and says that Brittany has a dude on the side and that he's followed her to Alexander somewhere and saw her basically get in a car with this person. That could be her brother. That could be a cousin. The girl is isolated from her family. So this is what I don't like about young people. First of all, they're 20-something years old acting like 15-year-olds would in high school. EB needs to mind his fucking business. Be there for your friend, and that's it. Really, until Karak gets out, there's no fucking reason that Brittany and EB should be interacting. Like, I feel that way. Like, if my husband went to jail and his friends was calling me like, let's meet up. No, we can meet up when he's out and can see and can know and can hear. So EB is shady, and I feel like EB is doing all of that because what people who are abusive do is they'll try to act like you're a problem. This is a fact, and make you feel guilty for something, and it's really them. So I feel like Karak is playing that game. EB, basically Brittany gets mad after hearing that EB does not trust her, rightfully so. And EB says he watched her, and Brittany says there's more to the story, which, yeah, I believe. Brittany, honey, you're a pretty girl. Karak ain't all of that from the picture. He treats you like shit from what we've heard. He has signs. If you look at the signs of abuse, for those who have either done psychology, like I have, shout out to me, I graduate next month. But if you know, you know, this is not a healthy situation whatsoever. Brittany, you need to check Karak. And if Karak gets mad, you're free. You're in school. You're doing good things. And stop acting like a $300 cash is a great gift. No, it's not. I don't buy it. I don't know. I guess Brittany and Karak are also going to be on Love After Lockup. And I'm kind of interested to see what happens with them. I think of all the couples, I'm a little more interested in them just because I'm rooting for Brittany. She's so young and she's doing a lot of good. I don't want her with Karak or his fucking 3 dreadlocked antenna alien looking motherfucking friend. I think that as friends, we can support our friends, but we are not supposed to be questioning their spouses about the shit that goes on in their relationship. I would never go call my friend Rachel's dude and be like, yeah, so what? I heard that she cried because y'all didn't buy toilet paper today. What's good with that? Like, mind your business, people. I say this on my Love and Hip Hop recaps. Minding your fucking business is life-saving. Why do you want to be in somebody else's business when you got your own handle? If you have time to be in somebody else's business, then you have too much time on your hands. That's the honest to God truth. So that's all we can say about Brittany and Karak. We will see what happens with them next week on the finale, and I look forward to discussing it with everyone who tunes in. I have been getting a few views on these videos, and I appreciate all who does. So we're going to move on to the last couple, which is Savannah, Psychopath, Miss I Need a 5150, and Jake. Now, listen, thugs, Savannah drives me insane. She drives me insane. Something is wrong with this woman. There's something really wrong. So we know that she's obsessed with getting married, so much so that she's using her spouse's case as a way to manipulate him into marrying her sooner. Now, this man only has 5 years left. I say only because his crime was awful. Someone was robbed, killed, I believe. It was an awful crime. Now, he's been in jail since he was 19. He's now 30 something. So honestly, I think that it's time to let him out to see if he'll do some good. Because at 19, you just don't know the person that someone will become or what they will do. So I feel like, yes, I do believe in second chances. While you're in jail, but when you get out, I got to see it to believe it. And I feel like he's been there too long, but it is what it is. If someone passed on, he's there rightfully. So he only has 5 years left, which could be potentially less, and then he could just be free. And Savannah is not satisfied with this. I think that knowing his situation going into it, she knew that he would get out this long. I think falling in love with him, now she's trying to rush the process of being married so that people aren't just looking at her crazy, because it's okay to date an inmate, but where people look at you weird is when you go to those pen pal sites or however they find them and look for them while they're already locked up. Like that's a fucking error of thought process for all of the people on this show. Why the fuck would you want to go look for someone in the jail to date? I just don't understand that. Anywho, so she goes with her friends. It looks like Savannah has these friends for a very long time. One of them we've seen in a previous episode when Jake was speaking about how he'd want to talk to other intimately because he said he was 19. He had no experience. So apologies for the fire department, y'all. Anywho, so it's just a hot mess. He basically expressed like, I like Savannah and I appreciate her, but I went in at 19. I was a kid. I don't know shit. So I want to sleep. He wants to fuck other vaginas. And I don't see what the problem is with that. Now, Savannah is not accepting this is the thing. He has made this clear to Savannah. He's made this clear to her friend. She's not accepting it. So she's with her friends because one of her friends is getting married. And while she's there, she steals their thunder and decides that she's going to look at wedding dresses instead of her friend who's actually getting married to an actual free person who actually wants to be with her and just her. So Savannah's goofy ass says that she wants to walk into the prison tomorrow. So within a 24-hour span, she says she's tired of waiting. She's just going to walk to the prison in a wedding dress to get married. But my thing is like, sis, he don't want to marry you. He said that. He literally asked you to stop talking about marriage. His family doesn't like you. He doesn't want to get married. He asked you in a previous episode to stop bringing up marriage altogether. And when he's out of prison, he wants to see other women in a sexual way. What the fuck? So her psycho ass, this chick needs a psych eval. Like any certified licensed psychotherapist, psychologist, psychiatric technician, somebody come put her on a 5150, a psychiatric hold. That's what we call them in California. Come get this hoe, please. I'm so confused because it's weird. It's like, you know, I've promiscuous. I've slept or cheated on every guy that I've been with, but I want him to marry me like that. Honey, maybe this is your karma. Because remember, she told us that the first episode, she's known to sleep with hella different people. Listen, ain't nothing wrong with it, but you can't do that and then expect this man to just want to marry you when you've been around. It's a fact. Just like females don't want a nigga who been fucking every Tom, Dick, Jane, whatever the hell you want to call them. Don't nobody want to deal with that. So don't really understand what her issue is. She picks out a dress, one that was extremely underwhelming, did not make her go or any of that. And her dumb ass is going to pay for this dress and say that she's going to walk to the prison tomorrow to get married. Now, can you actually just walk to jail to go visit someone and be like, we want to get married? Can we do that today? I don't think you can. I think that you actually have to get permission or something for those who watched Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup. If you're a true fan of this show from season 1, as I am, if you know, you know. Okay, you can't just walk into a prison and get married, though maybe they're allowing it, but I highly doubt, especially after COVID, that that's something that people are allowing or doing. Anywho, that is all that happened with her. Her dumbass was in there in the simple wedding dress. I just, can we get rid of Savannah and Jake? She's either doing too much for the camera or really does need a therapist, because it's giving daddy issues. It's giving lack of self-efficacy. It's giving a lack of self-confidence. Bitch is crazy and she needs to be evaluated like immediately. But that's my recap. That is all for today. I appreciate those who did tune in. I saw some come in and drop. To those watching the recap once it's no longer live, I appreciate you as well. Love During Lockup. We will do the finale recap next week. We may have Mr. Best join us. We don't know. He's fun sometimes. Some fucking times. We also may have a 60 Days In, which is an A&E TV show. Recap with my spouse because we're into that show and that was a hot mess. We will have Love and Hip Hop Lives on Tuesday and Wednesday, as well as a song review on Sunday. So there's something for everyone. I hope you guys tune in and subscribe. I appreciate everybody for being here and hope you all have the best